So I started as a programmer out of school. Started to put myself through college, but got too busy with work, and ended up sort of going full time into programming coding. Then became a systems architect. Went into the consulting arena, doing a lot of work for financial services all the way through the technical career. In '97, joined Deloitte as head of technology integration out of Australia. They moved me to Hong Kong in '99 to head up e-business practice. So I ran the Asia e-business practice for Deloitte. Then left Deloitte and joined Modem Media, which was the number one digital agency in the world at the time. So I had very strong, web and business consulting, plus sort of the creative media side from a competency perspective. Clients were like HSBC, Cathay Pacific, players like that. I ended up working with HSBC for 10 years on digital strategy. So while I was there, we deployed the first internet banking, the first mobile app,
Wow.
the first online product, the very first usability study done for any retail bank anywhere in the world. We conducted out of Hong Kong in like 2000. On the leading edge of all that. And then in the mid noughties, around 2005, I wrote a report for HSBC on what the future of banking would look like in the 2020s.
Was that a public
And that
report or
was
was that for HSBT
that was for HSBC internally.
internally?
And that report went to the board, was sponsored by Paul Thurston, the head of retail in Asia at the time, went on to head up retail globally. And that was where I saw firsthand the inability of even a major bank like HSBC to understand what was coming at them. And so I took that report, HSBC 2.0, and turned it into my first book, Bank 2.0.
Oh, wow.
And that became a bestseller in a dozen languages in 18 countries in banking, and was on the top 10 bestsellers ranking for like 5 years. And, now I've done Bank 4.0 in 2019. It's been on the bestsellers list for 6 years, the top 10 banking books on Amazon. And, I had also two Futurist books in there, Augmented and The Rise of Techno-Socialism. But in 2010, I also started Movin, which was the world's first mobile neobank. And so that was the first banking app anywhere in the world where you could order a debit card inside the app without a signature. So we launched that in late 2012. Now, keep in mind, one of the reasons Jason and I get on so well, Keith, is that he had also launched Perk Street, like a couple of years before us. Well, I think 1 year before us. But Perk Street wasn't a mobile app, right? So they had a card program and, they had online, but they didn't have mobile support. We were mobile native. And, as the way banking apps have gone since then, that's I think the distinction. But we're a little bit too early. In there, I also started the podcast Breaking Banks. And since that's gone so well, we spun off and we now host, I think, a dozen podcasts on the Provoke Network. It's Jason, JP, and I own. And then I have my own speaking agency, which people like Jim Marous rather, and Ross Dawson and, other players like that are speakers for that agency. And also run the number one Futurist podcast globally called The Futurists, as you can tell by the signage behind me. And I'm just about to launch our first conference in Dubai, which is called the Futurist Summit. So about 600 people, 30 of the world's top 50 ranked futurists are going to be there. So, I'm doing a lot more of that cutting edge, next generation sort of super forecasting, emerging technology stuff these days as well. So, yeah, that's sort of a brief introduction of how I got to where I am today.
Oh, perfect. Keith, sounds like you need to pack your bags.
No, I've never been to Dubai. I was just thinking about going to Dubai. That must be fun.
You
600
should come.
futurists.
I'll
Yeah,
give you free
futurists.
tickets.
Oh, I'll come.
600
Yeah.
attendees, 30 of the world's top 50 futurists. Brian Cox is doing the opening keynote on day one. And day two, we have Commander Scott Kelly, who spent a year on the space station.
Wow.
So really phenomenal guests.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wait, Brian
Yeah.
Cox, is that the actor?
No, Brian Cox, the experimental astrophysicist. He's
Oh,
always
okay.
the one you
I'm
see
thinking
on.
of the guy from
Yeah, the actor.
Succession. The
Yeah, yeah,
older
yeah.
guy. His
Yeah,
name's
yeah.
Cox. I forget his
Yeah,
first
yeah.
name.
No, that's right. But no, but they
Yeah.
both have the same name. But
Yeah.
one is he used to be in a boy band when he was younger, then he became this
Nice.
amazing expert on black holes and leading string theory and stuff like that. So
From
he's
a boy
he's all
band.
yeah,
That should
yeah.
be a
No, but
movie.
but
That should be a
he's
movie.
wicked smart. He's got
Yeah.
he's wicked smart. So
But see, Brett,
That's awesome.
you're hitting on some of the things that that make these kinds of conversations special. And as Keith alluded to earlier, you have Trevelyan, and then we have our Trevelyan Communications arm, which has a couple content channels. And the one that we were calling you for here today was for Banking Plus. The
yeah,
Banking Plus Professional Profile series, we get into a lot of that stuff. A lot of our readers want to know who the human being is because they can read what they can read on your LinkedIn page and they read your books. But we have found that there are amazing moments in the lives of these people that lead them down a path and into a direction to where they are now sitting. And the story about him being in a boy band, it's like that doesn't come out everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you was a little bit about what your life is
I
like.
was in a band too, not a boy band. I was in a band too when I was younger.
Well,
Boy
yeah, what
band
kind
and
of
a
music?
black hole, man. What kind of music?
I fly airplanes as a hobby. So that's something I guess not a lot of people would know about me.
What
Scuba
kind of
dive
airplane?
and fly. So the most type experience I've got is in a Cessna 210, which is a 6-seat single aircraft, and a Cirrus SR-20, which is an amazing aircraft.
We will
And
get
what
some
did you play in the
pictures.
band? What was your instrument in the band?
Guitar. I was lead singer and guitarist.
Oh, wow. Right out front.
Yeah.
What is the name of the band?
It was called No Exit.
No exit.
The joke was once we start playing, you're not allowed to leave.
Ah!